Well, it goes without saying that I am neither an elected political official nor an epidemiologist, but it seems to me that given the way the Delta strain is going in New South Wales at the moment, the numbers aren't coming down anytime soon. And that means that we need to get well adjusted to the notion of lockdown. And that might not be welcome news to anybody, certainly isn't to me, but I think the reality is that's what we're facing probably until somewhere around Christmas time, probably. There might be some easing depending on what happens. And the reason why I think this is important to come to terms with is that setting expectations appropriately is actually a helpful thing to do. If we have unrealistic expectations, if we keep thinking that things are going to change for the better and they don't, that can be difficult. And so having expectations that more accurately correlate with the reality that we're facing tends to be a more helpful approach. And so it's a bit like in the days when I used to spend a bit of time in the surf. I remember the first time I got caught out behind the breakers, and it was a change of tide, and there was a series of humongous waves, and they were breaking a lot further out, so I had to swim a long way out to get over them, or under them as it turned out, because they were breaking just as I got to them. So I'd take a deep breath and go under the first one, but I didn't realise they came in sets of 3, and just as I came up, the next one was upon me, so I had to gasp a quick breath and dive under the second one, and then of course there was a third one. Now fortunately there were only 3, because if I had to keep gasping breaths to go under waves, I probably wouldn't have done well. And sometimes when we set our expectations for unrealistic outcomes, it's a little bit like we hold our breath waiting for this thing to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and we have to gasp a breath and await the next thing that we expect to happen. And if that's unrealistic as well, then we have to gasp another breath and another, and that can end poorly for us if we're not careful. So I think it's quite a smart move to have a look at what's going on and realise that if Delta spreads as easily as they say, and we're getting over 400 cases a day, infections a day reported, and that's probably not all of them, then I think the cat's out of the bag on this one. We're now waiting for levels of vaccination that will take the pressure off the health system, that kind of thing. So set your expectations, and then you won't be so disappointed. Now that might seem depressing, but you can actually, if you have good expectations that are accurate to what you're facing, you can set your kind of sails for that environment and just work, okay, it's going to be till Christmas time. These are the kinds of restrictions we're likely to face. This is how I'm going to manage it each day. These are the things I'm going to enjoy each day, because it's really important to have stuff you enjoy. This is the work I've got to do, and this is how I'm going to approach it. These are things I'm going to do for my sanity, because goodness knows without your sanity, and there is a lot of pressure on our sanity at the moment. This is not normal human behaviour that we are experiencing, so you've got to take care of all those things as well. It reminds me of the fact that often in life, as time goes on, we realise the things that we thought were going to happen aren't the things that happen, and we realise the things that we thought were going to be most important turn out to be not as important as we had first expected. And that reminds me of the scripture. You might go, no, of course it does, because you're a chaplain. Yeah, well, of course it does. But there's something really cool about scripture, because it's really a series of stories and letters and writings of people who have realised that the things that everybody thought were most important were turning out to be not as important as they thought, and something more important was there to be discovered. And it's one of the things I really appreciate about reading the scripture, reading the Bible. There's such a depth of a tradition of discovering what everyone assumed was the most important thing. Well, actually, the paradox is, of course, we all kind of know what's most important, and it is those really simple things like love and care and compassion, justice and truth, mercy. Excuse me. But somehow we hide those realities from ourselves, getting on with the business of survival. And the Bible wants to tell us that survival probably isn't worth it if it doesn't contain all those really good things, because it's really hard to live with yourself if you compromise those very good things. So anyway, that's today's lesson in endemic pandemic Sydney for the Wesley College students of 2021. Putting on a silly voice because I'm going insane with this just like everybody else. Not really, but maybe. I'm not sure. Who am I talking to? Okay, I'll see you around the college. Bye.